Morning, everybody. Today I'm going to try something a little different. I want to actually read something to you simply because it's too long for me to transcribe it all. And if this works, I may do this again from time to time. So, got my coffee, got my hourglass, so I don't go too long. So, let's begin. This is from a book I've had for a few decades, and I read it a lot. You know, basically, it's a book of apocrypha. It's writings that were not deemed suited for the canon that ended up in the Bible. So, the interesting thing to me about this book is that there are things about the Bible that you can understand better if you've read this, because these books, these scrolls that are translated here, were common reading amongst the educated and elite at the time, which included at least some of the disciples. Paul quotes from the Secrets of Enoch twice in the New Testament. The Secrets of Enoch is an amazing book, and if Paul can quote from it and that be canonized, then why can't we read it too? Just for context, I'm always of a mind to provide context for the things of the Bible, and this book really helps me. So I want to read to you chapter 20 of book 2 of the stories of Adam and Eve. This is a very controversial set of writings. We don't know the actual date that it was originated. It was translated from Arabic into Ethiopian language in the 6th century. But the original writer was from Egypt. And so the book was written originally in Arabic. And the fascinating thing about that to me is that in the Arabic, references to God use the word Allah. So Allah is simply an Arabic word for God. It has no meaning beyond that. So for Christians to say that Allah is a false God is really silly. And it bothers me greatly. Anyway, the books of Adam and Eve are the stories of what happened to Adam and Eve after they left the garden. And there are some just fascinating revelations in this writing. So I don't care, honestly, whether it's myth, fantasy, or whatever. I find the writings to be very edifying and for my faith, and worth consideration as I examine life and the things of life, especially in my old age. So let me read to you chapter 20 of book 2 of the stories of Adam and Eve. And to set the stage, the culture is divided between two groups. The progeny of Seth, who was the third child of Adam and Eve, live on the holy mountain. In the below them, in the valley of iniquity, or as it says, the land of dark earth, lived the sons of Cain, and they were, of course, considered evil. So you have the children of Seth on the holy mountain, and the children of Cain in the valley below. And what you're about to witness is how the sons of Cain seduced the sons of Seth to come down from the holy mountain and place themselves into tremendous difficulty. So, chapter 20 from the second book of Adam and Eve. After Cain had gone down to the land of dark soil, and his children had multiplied therein, there was one of them whose name was Genon, son of Lamech, the blind, who slew Cain. But as to this Ginon, Satan came into him in his childhood, and he made sundry trumpets and horns, stringed instruments, cymbals and psalteries, and lyres and harps and flutes, and he played on them at all times and at every hour. So the first creation that Satan produces through Ginon is music. So music is used to help lure the sons of Seth down from the holy mountain. And when he played on them, Satan came into them, so that from among them were heard beautiful and sweet sounds that ravished the heart. Then he gathered companies upon companies to play on them. And when they played, it pleased well the children of Cain, who inflamed themselves with sin among themselves, and burnt as with fire, while Satan inflamed their hearts one with another, and increased lust among them. Satan also taught Ginon to bring strong drink out of corn. And this Ginon used to bring together companies upon companies in drink houses, and brought into their hands all manner of fruits and flowers, and they drank together. Thus did this Ginon multiply sin exceedingly. He also acted with pride, and taught the children of Cain to commit all manner of the grossest wickedness, which they knew not, and put them up to manifold doings which they knew not before. So now we have both music and alcohol being used to lure the sons of Seth down from the mountain. And when they were drunk, then Satan, when he saw that they yielded to Ginon and hearkened to him in everything, he told them, rejoiced greatly, increased Ginon's understanding, until he took iron and with it made weapons of war. Then when they were drunk, hatred and murder increased among them. One man used violence against another to teach him evil, taking his children and defiling them before him. And when men saw they were overcome, and saw others that were not overpowered, those who were beaten came to Ginon, took refuge with him, and he made them his confederates. Then sin increased greatly among them, until a man married his own sister, or daughter, or mother, or others, or the daughter of his father's sister, so that there was no more distinction of relationship. And they no longer knew what is iniquity, but did wickedly, and the earth was defiled with sin. And they angered God the judge, who had created them. But Ginon gathered together companies upon companies that played on horns and on all the other instruments we have already mentioned, at the foot of the holy mountain. And they did so in order that the children of Seth, who were on the holy mountain, should hear it. But when the children of Seth heard the noise, they wondered, and came by companies, and stood on the top of the mountain to look at those below. And they did thus a whole year. When at the end of that year Ginon saw that they were being won over to him little by little, Satan entered into him and taught him to make dyeing stuffs for garments of diverse patterns, and made him understand how to dye crimson and purple and whatnot. So now we have music, we have alcohol, we have colorful dress. I mean, everything up until that point was likely white or linen or, dirtied from whatever. So this is the, in the views of the writer, the origination of all of those kinds of things. And it had a purpose, and that purpose was to lure the righteous from the holy mountain. And the sons of Cain, who wrought all this, and shone in beauty and gorgeous apparel, gathered together at the foot of the mountain in splendor, with horns and gorgeous dresses, and horse races, committing all manner of abominations. Meanwhile, the children of Seth, who were on the holy mountain, prayed and praised God in the place of the hosts of angels who had fallen, wherefore God had called them angels, because he rejoiced over them greatly. But after this they no longer kept his commandment, nor held by his promise he had made to their fathers. But they relaxed from their fasting and praying and from the counsel of Jared their father. And they kept on gathering together on the top of the mountain to look upon the children of Cain from morning until evening, and upon what they did, upon their beautiful dresses and ornaments. Then the children of Cain looked up from below and saw the children of Seth standing in troops on the top of the mountain, and they called to them to come down to them. But the children of Seth said to them from above, "We don't know the way." When Genon, the son of Lamech, heard them say that they did not know the way, he bethought himself how he might bring them down. Then Satan appeared to him by night, saying, "There is no way for them to come down from the mountain on which they dwell. But when they come tomorrow, say to them, 'Come ye to the western side of the mountain. There you will find the way of a stream of water that comes down to the foot of the mountain between two hills. Come down that way to us.'" Then when it was day, Genon blew the horns and beat the drums below the mountain, as he was wont. The children of Seth heard it, and came as they used to do. Then Genon said to them from down below, "Go ye to the western side of the mountain. There you will find the way to come down." But when the children of Seth heard these words from him, they went back into the cave to Jared to tell him all they had heard. Then when Jared heard it, he was grieved, for he knew that they would transgress his counsel. After this, 100 men of the children of Seth gathered together and said among themselves, "Come, let us go down to the children of Cain and see what they do, and enjoy ourselves with them." But when Jared heard this of the 100 men, his very soul was moved, and his heart was grieved. He then arose with great fervor, and stood in the midst of them, and adjured them by the blood of Abel the just, "Let not one of you go down from this holy and pure mountain in which our fathers have ordered us to dwell." But when Jared saw that they did not receive his words, he said unto them, "O my good and innocent and holy children, know that when once you go down from this holy mountain, God will not allow you to return again to it." He again adjured them, saying, "I adjure you by the death of our father Adam, and by the blood of Abel, of Seth, of Enos, of Canaan, and of Mahalaleel, to hearken to me, and not to go down from this holy mountain. For the moment you leave it, you will be reft of life and of mercy, and you shall no longer be called children of God, but children of the devil." But they would not hearken to his words. Enoch at that time was already grown up, and in his zeal for God he arose and said, "Hear me, O ye sons of Seth, small and great, when ye transgress the commandment of our fathers, and go down from this holy mountain, ye shall not ever come up hither again forever." But they rose up against Enoch, and would not hearken to his words, but went down from the holy mountain. And when they looked at the daughters of Cain, at their beautiful figures, and at their hands and feet dyed with color, tattooed in ornaments on their faces, that's called makeup, the fire of sin was kindled in them. Then Satan made them look most beautiful before the sons of Seth, as he also made the sons of Seth appear of the fairest in the eyes of the daughters of Cain, so that the daughters of Cain lusted after the sons of Seth, like ravenous beasts, and the sons of Seth after the daughters of Cain, until they committed abomination with them. But after they had thus fallen into this defilement, they returned by way they had come, and tried to ascend the holy mountain. But they could not, because the stones of that holy mountain were of fire, flashing before them, by reason of which they could not go up again. And God was angry with them, and repented of them, because they had come down from glory, and had hereby lost or forsaken their own purity or innocence, and were fallen into the defilement of sin. Then God sent his word, and his word in these books is a person, a being, the word of God, is a person who rescues Adam and Eve in the first book many times over. So God sent his word to Jared, saying, "These thy children, whom thou didst call my children, behold, have transgressed my commandment and have gone down, behold, they have transgressed my commandment and have gone down to the abode of perdition and of sin. Send a messenger to those that are left, that they may not go down and be lost." Then Jared wept before the Lord and asked of him mercy and forgiveness. But he wished that his soul might depart from his body, rather than hear these words from God about the going down of his children from the holy mountain. But he followed God's order and preached unto them not to go down from that holy mountain and not to hold intercourse with the children of Cain. But they heeded not his message and would not obey his counsel. So that to me is a fascinating look at how the things that we take for granted in our life today, like music, beautiful clothes, hair and makeup, drinking, getting high, whatever. The origin of those, according to these wonderful books, are to lure the righteous from their place. And that, I think, is worth keeping in your minds as you consider all of the things that take place in our lives today. I'm not suggesting that all of these wonderful things are evil, because God can certainly redeem whatever he wants to redeem. But I want you all to not take them for granted either, because of their power to influence other people. And it seems to me that today we are caught up in a world where influencing other people is the sole reason that a lot of people live. And you have to ask yourself why that is so important. And consider perhaps that maybe we ought to take a step back and look at all this and be at peace with ourselves and not be warring with one another, because that's another form of trying to influence on my own behalf. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Didn't even crack the 60-minute barrier, which I was worried about. So have a great day, and if this goes well, maybe we'll see you again, okay? Thank you.